Welcome back, fantasy managers. This is Devo 1099. Tom, riding solo today, going through game week 11 for Mondogoal. Big news this week is that DraftKings is going to be launching in December in the UK, which is exciting. This is competition for Mondogoal and the other sites that currently aren't up to speed, but still working hard, and maybe there will be more than two here that survive. But DraftKings also redid all of their scoring, so I've been trying to crunch those numbers for a while. Tonight it has definitely taken up a lot of my time. Things changed very drastically over there. More similar to Mondogoal, but still some pretty significant differences. They expanded to 11 players. They kept crosses in and actually now counting corner kicks as crosses, which really gives guys that they were already crossing that are taking corners a lot more of a higher floor. Robbie Brady's, your Cabayas, players like that. So we'll get to DraftKings more as it gets closer to December and we have a better idea of when that is going to launch. But for the meantime, we're going to stick with Mondogoal, focusing on the Saturday slate. The Chelsea-Liverpool match will not be included in their larger contests, which is probably for the better. That's a very difficult game to figure out right now. Chelsea, obviously they have the talent. They have a good manager. It's not coming together for them right now. They're pretty bad. We've been noting that their defense has just not been holding up by any means. I don't know if Liverpool is the team to make them pay for that. This will be an interesting game at the Bridge. Good one to wake up for. I guess in the U.S. to wake up for. You guys will be up already. And to build your lineups while you're watching it, keep it in the background. Probably not going to be the most exciting game, but hopefully we'll have some drama in some capacity. Chelsea has been very capable of bringing that to the matches, even if they can't actually bring skill. So I want to go through, rather than game by game, I'm going to go through more of the team building strategy since I'm by myself here. And I'll go position by position and then kind of discuss the overall thoughts I have on the Saturday slate. Sunday, briefly, Sunday there's two really strong favorites, and then Monday we have the Spurs. I believe Mondogoal is just doing Sunday as a separate one and not including the Spurs match. So Everton and Southampton are really clear favorites and strong plays there. If you need to find players, which you will on Mondogoal, there's a couple on Sunderland and Bournemouth that you can make do with. Maybe you take Bournemouth defenders and hope Southampton struggles to score. But I think you're pretty much going to take 4 Everton players, 4 Southampton players, and probably 2 Bournemouth, 1 Sunderland, something along those lines. Back to Saturday. Starting with keeper, Manchester City is far and away the most likely to keep a clean sheet. Hart has gotten a little bit expensive. He's less expensive than Czech, who's 9 million. Hart is 8.6. Fabianski is 6.7. If you think Arsenal struggles to finish with just Giroud and Alexis essentially in the attack, with Joel Campbell potentially playing right wing now that Theo and Ox have picked up injuries, that's a real possibility to get some saves. He's playing at home, so Fabianski is certainly an option there. More of a large contest play. Schmeichel at 6.4 is interesting. They've been a lot better off lately defensively. I don't know if it's just because Ranieri is promising them pizza, but they did keep a clean sheet last time out. Now they've got to go on the road to West Brom. West Brom, it's actually West Brom probably plays a little bit better at home, so I'm not gonna play Schmeichel, but it's a thought. If you really want to go inexpensive, you've got Elliott at 4.4 million for Newcastle hosting Stoke. A bit of a long shot, but he's certainly inexpensive, and there are players that we can pay for this week if that's the path you want to take. So moving on to defender, I think we're going to go cheap here, just because I think that there's some really good forward plays, some good midfielders, and I think we're best served trying to get some players that we think can match their price pretty easily. One of those is Daryl Janmaat for Newcastle, hosting Stoke. Stoke hasn't really been scoring a whole lot lately. Janmaat has been pretty involved in that. Carl Jenkinson has actually scored goals the past couple games, and is just 6.1 million. Both he and Janmaat actually picked up red cards earlier this year. That is still pulling their price down, not to mention the fact that West Ham and Newcastle are not the best defenses in the league. So those are two guys I'm looking at. Britos, if he starts for Watford, is rather inexpensive at 5.5. Company is just 6.6, though we can only take 4 City players, so I'm not entirely sure that you want to use one of those on Company when, outside of the fact that he's scored a few goals this year, his upside really isn't much more than 8, maybe 9 points. Cresswell is just 7.3 million. I don't love West Ham. I've made a point to not love West Ham. They just overperform their expected goal numbers all year, which I see as something that will come back, as the year goes on. I mean, they don't have to stop getting lucky. That's one thing that we can forget from time to time. But 38 games is enough where luck tends to even itself out to a degree. And I think West Ham has been excessively lucky. They've had 4 players get sent off against them in 10 matches. That's unheard of. And that's a huge advantage in the Premier League when you're already a pretty decent team. West Ham's not terrible. They're 10th to 12th in the league. So, up in third is a stretch, but, I don't know how quickly they're going to come crashing down. And, Watford doesn't have much of an attack either. So, those are some of the options there. You could take Watford's defense. Ake is only 6.3 if he starts. Neom is 7.4. Wes Morgan at Leicester, 6.2 million. So those are some of the guys that I have been looking at to fill out the defense. Midfield, though, is where the big spending is going to go on. De Bruyne is 15.1 million, which is great. A little expensive, but a match that you really can't afford to fade him when Silva and Aguero are still out. Payet's been incredible. He's 14.1 million, still a little bit on the pricey side, but again, he's just been producing, so that's a guy you definitely want to take a look at. Ozil and Cazorla, 14.3 and 13.6 respectively for Arsenal, as we mentioned. Theo and Ox are out. That's going to, a little bit more of the attacking burden is going to fall on those two in this match. Mahrez at 11.1 is certainly someone we can take a look at. If you want to get a little bit more inexpensive, Punchin and Cabaye. Cabaye may miss out. Punchin's also ill. So if the Palace midfield sort of manages to sort itself out, and there's somebody that we think is going to have the ball primarily against United. Still not a great matchup by any means, but their price is more decent. Zaha's down at 5.1 among those. So Lanzini's been playing really well. He's 5.6 for West Ham. McLean had an assist last week for West Brom. He's only 4.5 and has outperformed that the past 2 weeks. So that's If we have to go the inexpensive route to fit in some of the higher priced midfielders, that's certainly something we can do. Last position, of course, is forward. The most expensive forward is Alexis, and he's 11.4 million. But he's been playing incredibly well. His attack numbers are just really out of control. And then when you factor in, Giroud, well, he's 8.6, but he and Alexis are going to have to play, the whole game. Swansea's not a particularly good matchup, but they also haven't been as good a team here in the past few weeks. So not the most intimidating. Back to City, who we expect to score several goals. We've got Sterling at 10.2 and Bonnie at 8.3. Choosing one of those, I think, is probably prudent. You could definitely take both. You could take both, pair that with De Bruyne and maybe Hart at keeper is one way to go with Man City this week. Or you could certainly take Navas in midfield or even Yaya if you want to just have 4 attacking players from City. I don't think that's the worst decision either. Vardy is going to be a play that I can't imagine. I can't imagine that many will want to fade him. However, they're not necessarily expected to score a lot of goals at the Hawthorns. West Brom has been a little bit shaky, but we're talking about Leicester here, and they've probably outperformed their goal numbers a bit as well. Vardy certainly has, but he's on quite a streak now, and at 9.7, that's a high water mark for him. But tough to fade a guy in that type of form against a defense that certainly beatable. For Watford, if you don't like West Ham, which I don't, Igalo is 9.4, Deeney 8.8 million even, who finally got his first goal last week. I think they're fairly similar players. Igalo has been scoring a lot more. Deeney had more goals last season. Berahino is an interesting play to me at 7.3 million. He's a much better scorer at home. And Leicester, they're going to attack, and that's going to leave them exposed at the back. They don't have a particularly strong defense. So I think Berahino at 7.3 and even Rondon down at 5.3 could be a really nice play. If you do something like that, that's going to open up enough money to really take 3 or 4 high-priced midfielders. Or if you want to play for a little bit more security in your defense, the Arsenal and City defenders are much more expensive than some of the guys I named earlier. Last player I want to mention is Ayoze Perez. Been playing a little bit better, certainly been beating his 5.5 million price. So somebody to take a look at. I don't see how you would end up in a position where you're stretching to take a Newcastle striker here with the other options. I think I'd rather drop down in defense and take a striker that I'm a little bit more confident can score. But that's about it for the Saturday slate. I appreciate you joining me for this abbreviated version of the Fantasy Football Backers video this week. Hopefully I'll have a teammate next week to help me out and get the discussion going. But this is a pretty straightforward week with Manchester City as a really overwhelming favorite. So you're going to get 4 of those. Arsenal's likely to score. Then you've got, maybe United. Martial, I didn't mention. He's still only 6 million and has been playing very well for them. And Palace can certainly give up goals. That game could get open if Palace is able to score first, but we'll see about that. Anyhow, best of luck. Stay tuned for more information about DraftKings. Mondogoal is certainly not going to go down without a fight, and I think we're going to see a really nice competitive landscape here in the UK soon, which which will be better for all the players, really driving each other to, drive up the big prize pools, to get more players, to refine their products, and really just bring the best products to market for us. And we're excited about that. We love Mondogoal. DraftKings has been good in the U.S., and these changes will be very interesting to see how that's reflected and how they catch up with the pricing. But anyhow, that's enough rambling for today. Best of luck. If you have questions, we're on Twitter at FFBackers, and you can always leave comments here at YouTube. Thanks a lot. See you next week.